So welcome to the podcast, everybody. My name is Anissa. I am the host of Private in Public, aka PIP, and I have a special guest today. I want to introduce you to the one, the only, Marc Mendiola.
Wait.
Marc Anthony Mendiola is in the house.
Wait, are we gonna have like sound effects? Like like a sound effect board? Like iCarly? Can we talk about iCarly? Like we just need like the little remote, like yeah. Hi.
Hi, everybody. This is Marc. Marc, introduce yourself. What? Tell us a little about yourself. What's up?
Okay, so my name is Marc Anthony Mendiola. I grew up on the south side of San Antonio. If you know where the San Antonio is at, you better get ready because we're gonna take over. But I grew up on the south side of San Antonio. It's a low economic side of town. I definitely think we're coming up. Like people are ready to grow. But yeah. Grew up. Had three brothers, mom and a dad. Parents had us at a very young age. I think the age of 21, my mom had all four of us. She said. So my mom got busy at the age of 16.
Shout out Mama Mendiola.
No, she knew how to. I don't know. I'm trying. She pulled in, but she never pulled out of the parking lot. Sorry. I'm trying to like. Can I say that? No, you don't want me to say that. But yeah. So that's how things happen, and lived on the south side, went to schools all on the south side, and then went to university at Texas A&M University, Gigum. And then after that, I came back, went home my ring on. Oh, I don't have my ring. Can we crop like a ring? Can we crop a ring on? No, but I came back from A&M University, got a degree in architecture, Universities of Architecture. So it's like everything from landscaping, urban development, all that stuff. But to be honest, I'm not using the degree. But I loved it. I love the experience. And yeah, now I just vibe. Yeah.
So what are you currently working on? Or tell us a little bit more of the transition from college to being a young adult.
Yeah, I think definitely. My parents, honestly, I'm so grateful that they've helped assist me with college. And I honestly worked hard to like sustain myself in reality as a college student, and I still had like those like setbacks that people do economically. So being on my own and not being like this is life. My mom's like, hey, Marc, I cannot be so lenient to just like help you out financially if there's like the little setbacks because that's part of reality. And I don't think if I do that for you, you won't have the justice of understanding how life works. And so she's kind of helped me transition a little better. She's pulled back a little better. And mentally, she's been there for me as a mentor, but also let me realize you need to fail and stop giving in too much to everybody because when you're in college, like everyone's super nice to you. You go home, you get your work done, you make new friends. If people do you wrong, you're like, at the end of the day, it's just college. But you cannot let that happen in your reality. And that's what I'm figuring out is on my reality. I can open my heart to so many people and want everybody to be my friend because I genuinely see good in every person. I don't think there's not a bad person in this world. They just develop certain things that set them back mentally. And I just see that side in those people and I realize like, oh, you can't let everybody in, you know what I mean? Because, things get sticky. And so that's the transition from college to life, and also just finding your value to feel like I'm worth it. Like that it's always like I'm worth it, I'm enough, and not second guessing like my quality of work that I do for my businesses. So yeah,
I think there's so much growth literally in that last part that you just said. Like, you have to find your own worth. And a lot of people, young adults specifically, and I've been through it, and I'm sure you have too, we attach our worth to something that is so variable. And people sometimes even get stuck in that. And for years, they're going up and down with like the stock market almost.
it's like a roller coaster. Yeah, it's a mental.
And so it's a good question to ask yourself, like, where do I find my value in? Is it in others? They're going to let you down eventually. People, like, the value is so it fluctuates so much, so quick, by day, by hour, if you put that in people, if you rely and have people assess your value or your job. I don't even know the statistics, but like, how many jobs have you had since you got out of college? Multiple. How many jobs have I had? 2, and I'm on my 3rd right now. So it's like if we put our identity in one of those things, the moment that you get laid off, COVID happened, furloughing happened. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the one thing that I always say is that this is super raw, y'all. I tell everybody all the time that with what I do, if you don't, I forgot to mention, like I create content, so I do create content. So I'm always working with a lot of brands and deals. So I always get to either work with them from their big corporate headquarter team to just their digital marketing team. But still, that's enough to learn how people are and how they function in reality because that's their job. And I've been in certain situations where I've met with headquarter people and I'm like, you're not nice. And I'm a college student and I'm like, okay, and that now I've transitioned to do full social media creating and like just living and creating opportunity for other people. I realize like you really cannot be someone else's bitch but your own. Sorry, I say this all the time. I tell people all the time. I'm like, I'm gonna work to make sure I don't, you know, be someone's bitch but my own. Like if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it for myself. If I'm gonna hurt, it's gonna hurt because I put myself through it, not because I let someone find a value or disvalue me in ways that they know can mentally attack me. Because I've seen people in work environments that are like, I'm enough because, or I'm not enough because of this, because I didn't flip this many patties today, or I didn't meet our quota, or I wasn't this nice to this person. Sometimes, not to be ugly, but we don't always have to be a good person. Like not saying like we should always be a good person, but not saying that we're not always gonna have a good day, you know? And and I know how to assess my bad days, but also having my time to assess those bad days help. To have people pressure me to have a good day when I'm having a bad day is only gonna make me have a worse day. You know what I mean? So I'm just thinking like going back to the reality of that question, it's just like I need to do whatever I do, be all in control of me. And if there's something that's setting back, it's I know who's the one who's starting it, and it's me. You know what I mean? Not seeing like, okay, was it Karen who said this and that, and then my boss said this that played into a key factor, and now I need therapy. It's like, oh no, it's literally all on me. It was my communication, it was my interaction, because I am my own brand, I am my own business, I am my own reputation. And that one thing is working with all these big companies and big names. I'm like, you're just another person who had insecurities to be little me. And I'm so glad that I had this opportunity, but I'm so glad that I don't just work with one brand or one business. I could never see myself working with just one person. I want to work with multiple people that are dedicated and serious and like respect me, but I also want to respect them. So, yeah. And another thing is I tell people in life is literally like the biggest advice that I've learned and I've told people and I promise it always fails that something goes wrong because they didn't do exactly what I told them to like do. I say if anything I'm doing is hurting you or setting you back or like is like just not on with your agenda, you gotta let me know before outletting it to somebody else, which we already mentioned. We're gonna talk about it because when you outlet to somebody else, it's only gonna like set pick sides. No one's gonna be like, oh my god, like this person that has it out for you. Say someone has it out for me, they're gonna tell somebody about it, and they're gonna be building all this envy and critiquing everything I do. And then at the end of the day, I'm just like this, like having a good time doing everything, not knowing that anything was wrong. And then I'm like, literally, I tell people if there's something wrong with me, like you tell me directly, so then I can improve it. And you're gonna learn. I'm a little hypocritical about that because you're gonna learn how like I'm not, I haven't been taking that advice lately because now in reality, these are now my business friends and also my personal friends. So how do you correlate that information without offending someone, but also being real because it's preventing them from being their best self and you're being your best self. So we'll learn. We'll learn.
So while you were talking, I thought of like three different things. The first thing was being the difference between self-aware and self-conscious, conscience. And then you're talking about communication. Communication is key. Like literally, friendships can be blown up because communication wasn't done well. And then the last thing was, I like that you called yourself out being hypocritical because we literally were just talking before we started the pod about, hey, if you have an issue with somebody, you have to address it with them, Mark. Like, I'm talking to myself too, and not saying any names. I'm just saying, if I hurt your feelings, but then you don't tell me about
Yeah,
it,
who's gonna know?
it's gonna fester in you. And I would hope that someone would love me enough and care about our friendship to be like, and it takes maturity. Because if I'm immature and you come and approach me, hey, Nisa, you hurt my feelings by doing X, Y, Z, and I blow up or I go start snitching behind your back and talking about you, then that says more about me than you. You tried to come to me and communicate, hey, Nisa, when you did this, this hurt my feelings. Or when you did this, I felt like you disrespected me. And I love you enough to tell you because I value our friendship and through this, it can get stronger. And if I love you back and actually care to keep this relationship, friendship, then I should be able to swallow what you say, think about it, be self aware enough of myself to be like, dang, let me listen to what Mark just said and let me see if he's actually right and let me think about it and not be so quick to, well, Mark, when you did it, no, I have two ears for a reason. Let me listen to
Let me see
you.
them. Let me see them.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay,
You know
there's
what I'm saying?
one. There's two.
Jewelry brought to you by no.
They're like favorite.
If I'm a ring size six, six and a half, six and a quarter.
Okay, if her husband's watching this episode, whatever episode this is the one where she tells you her ring size. Okay.
There you go. um, but yeah, like if anything I've learned recently, and I love that when our friendship took off, I could be really raw with you pretty soon on, and know that it was coming from a place.
Of goodness. No, you're
Yeah.
definitely a place of goodness. Like, I think it's like I tell you, I trust everybody. So I pour my heart onto people that I feel like are there for you. But I've realized that those people that are there for you are there to take it and use it against you. But I feel like I've walked into your world where I'm like, I feel safe. Like, I feel like everything's bubbles. And like, I know it sounds weird, but like, basically, I can just pour, and I feel like I'm pouring into a vase of security, not like of distrust or misinformation or emotional advantage where you can just change narratives. And that's honestly what's setting me back, especially in the business world. I'm so friendly with everybody. I tell everybody everything. I'm too honest. That's one thing. I'll tell everybody everything, but at the end of the day, I have to also consider other people. You know. So yeah.
I think honesty is necessary, especially in the marketplace and friendships, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know quite like as I'm thinking this through, I need to process it better. But I don't know. I think there is a line of being honest without being brutal is not the right word. Um, yeah, or maybe knowing when to always speak honestly. Sometimes you can be honest with your mouth shut.
No, yeah. What I need to do better is obviously be a better listener. I feel like that's how I'm like selfish as a person because we all are selfish. Like just be real. I try not to be, but no matter what I do, I come off very selfish. And one thing that I've gotten advice from people, like they are like, we love everything about you. We love your energy, everything. But one thing that they've told me, and being so honest, like as a mentor, is they're like the biggest opportunities come when you listen because then you build better questions to help grow. And they're like not, and they never tell me in a bad way. I've heard them like maybe 3 times, which is bad. They're like, we love you. They're like, you're super good. We love everything. It's just that sometimes going forward to build even better, stronger connections is listening to create better conversations for future questions. And like I don't see it as a bad thing because they both all three of them they didn't mean it as a bad thing at all. You could definitely tell they're like you just have so much excitement and there's so much you want to say, but also it's like reality hits. It's like if you ask some better questions by listening, you could have created something a little stronger. And even though it's not strong, you know what I mean? Because everyone I usually meet, we become like besties, yay! But it just helps them feel valued, a little more. And so that's what I'm working on. And in the past, like if I've done my wrongs, I've said like, hey, this is my wrongs, but like let's make it right. But some people don't have that mature level to continue. They're like, no. I have people literally say, well, you didn't tell me happy birthday. Like I'm like tweaking because I'm like, you're right. That is one thing, but also it's not the reality of what I've done for you to be there for you as a friend to let you know that I value in other ways. And if there's something that's on a step on my end, there's obviously a reason for it because I have like a million things a day. Doesn't mean I shouldn't value that one thing, but also I have a million things a day, and I feel like I gotta get better in organizing myself to find that quality to give to certain people that deserve it. So another thing in my life is managing like my reality and my schedule and like valuing the people that need to be valued and not make them feel like I'm there in the spare moment and then I leave and then I come when I need them because that's not what I do. But that's also what I've gotten is people are like, you're there when I need you. You're there when you need me. When you're there when you need me, but I don't feel like you're there when I need you. But the thing is, that's their perspective. But my perspective is like, oh, I check on you first. I like respond to you first. I check in on you. I do like motivational things. And I don't feel like they ever reach out to me. But from the perspective, they don't feel like when they were on their lowest that I was there for them. But I'm like, if you never reach out to me, how would I know? You know what I mean? But it's just a lot. It's just one thing about me. I create deep relationships with each person that everyone's like my bestie. I'm like, everyone's my bestie. And all people are like, not everyone is your bestie. And that's another thing. Like, not everybody is your bestie. So, but me, I'm like, yay. But it's hard because people do get emotionally attached to you and they become very close to you. And if you don't do your part as a friend, they just feel like undervalued. And that's one thing I've definitely get critiqued on a lot is that, I give them so much that they get so excited. And want to have to continue and everything, and then come back because I'm like, okay, this is when I have time to do this. They're like, wait, you weren't there when I needed you, and I was like, I didn't know you needed me. You know what I mean? But it's because I'm so everywhere and I'm meeting so many different people. It's just that's just our narrative on things.
Yeah, I think of a couple of things when you said that. Is the first one was, um, I like how you called yourself out. I don't know if you remember this, but early on in our conversations or when our developing our friendship, you're like, "Oh, I'm talking so much. That's too much about me. Let me talk about you. How are you doing?" Da, da, da. And like you quickly switched from you noticed you were doing so much yapping, and then you're like, "Let me shut up, Anissa. Or, let me shut up, Mark, and like let me talk, Anissa. Tell me about what's going on." And that caught me. I was like, okay, this brother is realizing he's doing a lot of talking, and he actually self course corrected. You became self aware, and you communicated that within an instant, and you called yourself out. And I was like,
Because I'm really trying to just be a genuine, like, I just try to do it right, but there's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot of energy, a lot of time.
right. And the second thing was like you have a very full plate, so I can see where you have a lot so much going on that other people's perspective is, man, Mark is never there, or he's just there bouncing in and out. So the second thing I was going to communicate was, how can you pour out something when you don't even have it yourself in your cup? So if you're feeling disorganized and you can't even be there for other people that might be in a low, right? It's because you first don't have it even yet in your cup fully of that organization, or that maybe in that moment or that day. I'm not saying like across the boards, but like if you're like you've called me sometimes, you're doing like these different things.
You're like, what did you do? And I'm like, ah, it's just a lot. One thing that I was gonna definitely say, tweaking. I'm tweaking. I'm like, what is it? What is it? Um, yeah, I'm twitching. No, but that was the one thing pouring into the cup when you don't have anything in your cup to pour into yourself. What she said, but that's so true. Me, I'm like, dang, everyone feels this about me, right? But I'm like, I'm always the one reaching out first, and I'm like, how do you say this about the person that always reach out, that checks in, that tries to make plans, and like thinks about you when I think about them, but I don't ever felt like realistically, like in high school or to college, I don't feel like anybody was ever messaging me. You know, then I started developing those relationships the last 2 years of college at A&M. And then I think, I don't know if you remember, but I think I've even told you, I'm like, wait, this is so nice that you like actually want to hang out with me, that you want to come to my house and like make breakfast. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like there's people that want me as much as I want them sometimes. And then that's when I value myself a little differently. I'm like, wait, Mark, you are a good friend. You're a good friend. You're a great friend. And then sometimes you realize that their reality and the way that life is, they also have some mental trauma that people could be there. Yeah. And that's the reality is that I'm like, wow, they're blaming me, but also it's because they had something that happened in their life that someone left for them and they didn't think they're ever going to come back. And so they're scared that they're not going to come back. So they play this whole game about like, I want to keep you forever. And if I can't keep you forever, then I don't want you. And then they let you go fast, you know? And for me, I'm just like happy go lucky. And my parents are really good, thankfully, and everything. And me just doing that to them, it ticks them. Like, I do that a lot. But it's not a real tick. I just did it as a little twitch. Yeah, it's a little trick. But no. And I think sometimes I'm like, you know what? I have to realize that they probably had something that happened to them that they're probably insecure of your friendship because it's not what they're used to. And I'm not gonna leave. It's just when I'm available and I'll make that time when it's valid. And I reach out as much as I can. Like you can ask anybody, I swear in high school, I have so many friends that I literally, if I just think about them and I have not talked to them since high school, ever, anything, I will literally be like, I'm gonna call them. My heart is telling me that I need to give them their time. I literally tell people, I'm like, hey, something's telling me I just gotta call you, check on you. How's everything? They're like, oh my god, Mark, like I have like thank you so much for calling me. One time I did it to my friend and I would always check in on her. For some reason, something always told me to check in on her. And then one time I checked in on her, she's like, oh my god, I'm okay. She's like, yeah, my dad died yesterday. Like, and I was like, there's no way. And this, I have not talked to her since high school. And like, her mom was a teacher, and like, her mom was never my teacher. But one thing you know about me is like, anytime I meet a person, I meet the person. I don't care if you're like, oh, plan to be in my life, like, oh, because she's my teacher or anything. If I meet you and I'm like, you're a vibe person, we're gonna vibe. And her mom was a teacher, and I would always go eat lunch with her mom. Never even had her as a teacher. Would hang out with her because she's my friend, and I would always call her at the most random times. She's like, "Oh my god, thank you for calling," and like, it's so weird, but I just go with my gut each time. Like I'm not hesitant to reach out, and I think a lot of people are, and have to realize you can't expect people to give you the friendship that you want others to give if they don't know how to give what you want. You know what I mean? It's
Or through their trauma and not working through all that they need to address and work through, and have counseling. I'm a big proponent of counseling therapy. That's a whole another enchilada that
We
like
can go forever with that
uh-huh,
conversation.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh. Because
Yeah.
oftentimes the problem isn't the fact that you uh are driving slower in the left lane and that person goes around you, speeds around you, flicks you off, cuts back in front of you and slows down. It wasn't the fact that you were just driving slow. It's the fact that they have unresolved trauma and perhaps frustration at the workplace. They have maybe have a low self-esteem, and the list could go on and on. Maybe they're sexually abused as a child and they're having all these things that they're not having addressed, and that day they took out their anger and their dysregulated neurologic system on you to flick you off, cut you off, and slow down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And going into friend groups, like, and I'll talk about this now. Like, I've gone to the extent of a friend group to literally talk about how like sexually abused, and also came out to one of my friends just to make them feel comfortable. Like, that's how I came out. Like when I came out, if you don't know, I'm gay or bi. Yeah. But going into that, like being a good friend and like having those friends, like I remember I was sitting in my house and we were like this, like in the couch, but it was dark. I think it was raining. I don't remember. So happened to be Pride Month. I did not know. And I was starting to question it more often, and I literally had friends that were there, and there was one of my friends. We're like saying things that we just wanted to talk about that were deep things that no one got to know, but we were really close. So we're like, let's just talk about it, right? We're high schoolers, um, and I remember we ended up asking one of my friends, and he never opens up. Like we know so much about him, but he never opened up, and in the end,
How did you know so much about him if he never opened up?
well, we because we knew about like his well, he's my friend. Like we know so much about him, but he never opened up specifically about certain details of things.
Got you. Okay,
Like
okay.
when it came to like sexual orientation,
Hmm.
because like he was gay. And the thing is, like I always fascinated about be more of his friend to learn more about it to help and identify if like how I am. You know what I mean? And I know I started becoming more like, okay, I think I am for sure gay. I've just never said it. I never said the word ever like I am. You know, but I knew it mentally, like, oh, that was there. And when we had this conversation, my friend literally said, "Oh, we asked him specifically a question about that. Like, why don't you talk about this, right?" He's like, "Well, I never talk about it because y'all won't understand any are gay. So if I tell you all my traumas, you're just gonna like hear my trauma instead of actually help with understanding me because you will never relate." And I was like, and it was so real for me. And I was like, it's weird, but like I need a mentor of what he is. And I think if I just come out and open up right now in this moment, he can feel like someone is here and he relates and he can be my guide and mentor for me to help understand myself. But he didn't know this because he doesn't know that it came out. I mean, people knew, they're like, oh yeah, he's gay, but like I never said it, so they didn't want to like assume. But no, literally, I said, I was like, you know what, like I just want to let you know, like I'm doing this because I want to be a good friend and I want to feel like your voice is heard and that you feel valued and like we can relate. And like I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I think I'm gay. Like, and that was the first time I've ever said. I think I cried. And then I think the first thing I talked about was being like sexually abused, which is like something like a lot of people don't know. Um, and I told my parents too, I would never. I told my parents like we're gonna leave that there. Like I remember when I did come out to my parents, like I did mention that to them too. I said we're gonna leave that there because I don't want that to be my reality of who I am and who I can become. And people have a narrative of like, oh, well, Mark has been this, so he cannot be this. And that's how, you're gonna learn more about my life, even my educational setback. That I never wanted people to discredit me from knowing my worth, so I hid it in order to create value for myself by doing a lot of things that I did. And that's why I always stayed driving after opportunity, not only because I care for people, but to create more of a leadership role for myself that I am worth it and I'm not less than what other people say I am based on certain topics.
Hmm.
Like, there's more, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
speaking.
I was gonna say, do you feel like you want to dive into a little bit of how you have grown, or what was the biggest struggle
Yeah,
before somebody knew about you being um, affected sexually?
yeah, for sure. This is what I say on that topic. I always say this, and this is like the saddest thing is like I was so young, I didn't even have a control or a sense of my emotions and my feelings. I am not upset because I didn't even know how to like really manage my feelings at that age that it happened at. So
Remember what age?
I think I was like in kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was first grade. I think it was kindergarten. But whatever it was, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not mad. I just want to let you know I'm pretty sure this happened. And like, also when I think about it, I'm like, wait, did this actually happen or did I make this up? But I'm like, I know I'm not a kid thinking of these sexual things that somebody did to me because I'm like, oh, I don't want to say it if it didn't happen. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure it did happen. It's just that so young, everything's like a vivid. But I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't remember. Yeah, I definitely. And that's the one thing too. I always tell myself, I'm like, am I gay because I got exposed to that first? I always tell people this. I hate that people always say that like gay people are only gay because they have trauma, and I hate that my story kind of aligns with that. But but no, literally, I'm like, when you think of a baby chicken, it comes out of the little egg, and it's like,
Mhm.
hello, and whoever the mama is, like, that's his bitch. She's like, that's my mama.
Uh-huh.
She's gonna give me milk. Like, this is what comes with the job, right?
Yeah.
And then for me, it's like I always tell myself, I'm like, was that me? Like when I think of like sex drive or going through hormonal stages or getting,
Mhm.
was my connection or correlation to that was the experience that I had first with a male. So I'm like, that's only what I understood. So you see what I'm saying? And so I'm not mad at the idea, and I'm like, okay, but like I'm an adult now, like, and I ride with guys. I mean, I vibe with guys. I vibe with guys, and I also vibe with girls, but I'm scared of girls. It's weird. But I do vibe with guys a lot more. But in the end of that, I realized it's sad that I wasn't aware of my emotions and feelings, but I know it happened. But I also, and we're all figuring ourselves out at the end of the day, and I'm just trying to find someone who makes me happy, that loves me, and I do want a family. I genuinely want a family. Um, and I'm learning like to become a better person to handle those situations when they come to be a dad. And I never could see myself being with the guy. Even when I did come out, I still couldn't even see myself being with the guy. I was like, wait, but I couldn't see myself getting married. That's weird, like. But over time, I'm like, I fell in love with someone. I'm like, okay, that's the only person I can ever see myself getting married to. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, it helped me open myself up, my flower. And so, yeah, there's that.
Mhm.
That's a lot, right?
I love it.
I ate all your trail mix,
Man, we can talk about so much.
and we talk a lot.
I know. This is like just scratching the surface.
Because I'm like, I'm trying to get to every
We could
topic.
talk about men. We could talk about Run Club. We could talk about hurt. We could talk about failures. Anyways, did you want to go on to academics, or
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
want to say anything else about like working through trauma as a young kid? Because like, okay, let me just say this straight up. I read a statistic that said 1 in 3 women are sexually abused,
Mm-hmm.
and 1 in 4 men are sexually abused. So literally, have Run Club. Think about us showing up to Run Club. We look at 4 different women, 3 different women. One of them was sexually abused.
Why the freak is that? Like,
Because sex and sexualization and just the evil, how Satan has really perverted this, the world is capitalizing on it. And it starts from very high places, just like we were talking on the phone with your friend earlier, of like the sex industry and sex trafficking, human trafficking.
it's
Like,
so weird that she mentioned that topic because I don't even think I was gonna even think about saying that at all on this podcast. And that's why I'm like, everything happens for a reason. And I literally can care like less, like if people know that about me or don't know that about me.
and I'm glad you're speaking on it. And that's why I asked, hey, do you want to share a little bit anything else about your sexual trauma? Because, or having a, what did I just say? Being sexually abused, because you're right. A kindergartner shouldn't, whatever happened to, and we don't have to, if you're not going to say anything else about that, it shouldn't happen to a young kindergartner who's doesn't even, is trying to figure out, hey, this is what I pee with. And this is eventually, oh, this is what an erection is. Oh, this is what, you know what I mean? A kindergartner shouldn't have to be thinking about those things
Mm-hmm.
yet. How about you just enjoy Elmo? How about you just enjoy playing with cars,
Yeah, for
chalk? You
sure.
know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure too. And the thing is, like,
Because I believe something, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I do think there was an innocence that was taken away
mm-hmm,
to a degree,
mm-hmm.
because you having thoughts afterwards, were you wrong for doing something? I don't even know all the. I can say I didn't have any sexual trauma, so I don't know what it's like to be in those shoes of, hey, I'm a first grader, kindergartner. This has happened to me by whether a man, woman. Usually it's a family member. Usually it's somebody that somebody knows close.
It is that. It was that one.
Yeah, and this happens.
I wasn't a family member, so that's good.
Oh, and it could be a neighbor. I don't know who it was for you, neighbor. Okay,
And the thing is that they're younger, they're closer to our age, so it was like it didn't seem like anything was wrong.
right.
And also, this is another thing. They were also so young too. Now that I think about it, I'm not even mad at them because at the end of the day, I'm like, wait, did they have sexual trauma? Because how are they knowing how to do this? At
They
that?
absolutely did.
I
I
think
would almost say 100% that person was sexually abused in some form or
because I'm like,
fashion.
how is he knowing to do this?
Exactly.
And like my brothers are how older than me, like 3 older. He was my brother's age, so I don't think. Yeah, and it's weird. Like, I think he grew up too, and I think my sister-in-law was like, "Yeah, I had him for like some certain things," and she's like, "There was some off stuff about him." I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that was the guy that did it." Again, like it's weird. Like I was so young, I can't say yeah for sure, yes or no.
And the fact that you could even bring it up to your family, which is a whole issue, because I watch a lot of Tim Ross, and
Mm-hmm.
Tim Ross was sexually abused by his neighbor, and I mean, he everything's public. He doesn't say the person's name because there's no need to bring in somebody else's name about it. It's more so the incident,
Mm-hmm.
because that incident has now stretched and reached so many people
Mm-hmm.
because other people can relate. That happened to me as a kid. I know what that feels like to be alone in your thoughts, and my family doesn't know about the issue. And then, could you ever speak about it? So that's why I'm applauding you, and I'm grateful that you're being raw and authentic here and vulnerable
It's
about this
Pip,
topic.
y'all.
It's
Private
Pip.
in public.
That's right. Plug. We need like a
Little
little sign.
logo. I like little logo. We said branding. I'm like, how much is for this?
We need like a little noise. Okay, Vince, you got us on that sound though.
You're than this one. Okay.
But your story, even just what you're sharing right now,
Mhm.
and more conversations, more podcasts to come, somebody's gonna relate with that.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I think what's crazy is that I think I was able to create my response to it because I've heard other people's stories and stuff like that, and discredit mine because I was so young that I'm like, wait, like, am I valid for saying that I actually went through that? But I'm like, no, I did oral stuff. Like that was, and that's all it was. It was oral. It was just oral,
Yeah.
like kissing and other stuff.
Yeah,
Obviously.
yeah.
But yeah, and he was our brother's age too, and I'm just like, and now that I'm older, I'm like, you know what? He probably went through something from someone because how did he know at that age?
Exactly.
If it's 3 years older than freaking kindergarten, he's like third
Right.
grade or something. Or
Right.
something. I don't know. And I even told my whole family, I told them exactly how I thought it was. I said, but guess what? We're just gonna drop it because at the end of the day, like, who the fuck cares? They're not gonna control the narrative of my life. And even if somebody here is watching this and like is trying to use that against me, like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work at all because life is not that serious. I'm so sorry. Life is not that serious, and that's why I live life like. They're like, you're broke, like you're something just burned, someone just died, like, and I'm like, okay, like we got to keep going, like, and you know, I got to cope however I need to cope correctly in order to manage reality because that's all life is, you know.
Yeah.
And I think when people go into jobs and they let people take advantage of them and create their worth for things that don't even matter, when friends belittle someone based on some of their insecurities, when all those conversations happen, people feel like, oh, I'm less than others, and like this is all I am in the world. But in reality, I'm so sorry, we are nothing. We are literally nothing but people that are just living in existence, having a purpose, and having a brain that gives us the capacity to be aware. And then we find values through what we have internally, obviously like brains and nerves, and create connections. And then after it all, like we all pass away. It's just what's the impact that we're gonna leave? How are we gonna change the narrative, and how are we gonna take control of our own voices, and how are we gonna make sure that we let other people's brains not get taken advantage of by other people who are mentally more capable than them of understanding how reality works. And so yeah, a lot of people just hurt through trauma. You know, hurt people hurt people.
That's a
It's-
real quote.
It is a real quote. I need a shirt.
That-
I need a crop shirt.
That really, yeah.
So
Hurt people.
no, but definitely like I do. That's why I'm like I can share it everywhere. Even if people ask me, I'm like yeah, I've actually gone through this. Like, and they're like okay, cool, because I smile and I'm saying it that they don't know if it's real or not, but it is because I don't care if you know you miss it or you don't.
So I was gonna tack on to that because obviously I love Jesus, and
Period.
I'm gonna bring in scripture. When you said that about like life, this is what life is. And you said it was like so quick or so fast or whatever you said. I thought of the scripture that said, it's James 4 verses 14. How do you know what your life will be like tomorrow? Question mark. Right. Your life is like it's like the morning fog. It's here a little while, then it's gone. Like that's just perspective. Life is but a vapor, and that was NLT version. And another similar scripture about life, like just being so fast. And I'll tell you a quote that my grandpa told me, and I love it.
Did he make it himself?
He told me on his deathbed.
Oh no.
And I laugh because it's like he didn't make it himself, but
Was he like roses are red? Nah, just kidding.
right now rhyming.
He's like, before I go, roses are red, violets are blue. Guess what? Life got to you.
Hey, okay. Where'd you get that from?
Yeah.
What fortune cookie did you get that from?
Panda Express, $9.99. I get double teriyaki.
Double teriyaki with the broccoli, the veggies, no carbs. I know you. Okay, so that was James chapter 4.
Hopefully, I'll make it this long in the podcast because it's gonna get crazier. I mean,
Here's another one. Oh, Job. So Job was a guy, and he literally has his book just about his life and sufferings. And Job literally said, "Oh God, remember that my life is but a breath, and I will never again feel happiness," because he was going through it, and God brought him to the other side. But again, it's talking about life being just a breath, like so quick. Anywho, there's another one that says, oh, here's another one. Psalms 39, chapter 39, verse 5. It says, "You have made my life no longer than the width of my hand. My entire lifetime is just a moment to you. At best, each of us is but a breath." Psalms, that's a whole like song.
and that's what it is. I mean, and that's what's cool about the beauty of growing up in life. I always wondered, like, how are my parents not scared of the boogeyman, or how are my parents not scared of going on roller coasters, or how my parents are not scared of this, that. I'm like, I want to be as furious as my parents. And as a little kid, we had a stigma that like, oh, men were more superior, and women were less superior. Like we were kids, because that's I feel like the roles that people told us that we had to play. Sure. So when I saw that my mom can be in the dark without a flashlight and do all this different things that I only thought a man can do at a young age, I also started realizing like life's more scarier. And like even if that's real or not real, like you realize that we all can overcome it because reality is more scarier than any of those things that people portray as the version of scariness. I know it's a little side quest, but do you see what I mean about that? Like basically like things that I admire my mom for that I thought were like, oh my God, how's she doing that? She's like Wonder Woman, because that was our perception of life. In reality, we realized like, oh, like life's actually more scary. Even if these things are true or people are doing all these things, life's more scary than those situations because it's in our lifespan what happens in order to create our own like struggles, setbacks, fears, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. So the quote I was going to tell you about from my grandpa, literally, he passed away my freshman year of high school because he's a
What high school did you
smoker.
go to?
So I went to Pflugerville High School for a year, and then I went to Hendrickson.
Pflugerville?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that?
Pflugerville's like North Austin.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Little PF, very
What's
suburb.
a PF?
That's how you spell it. PFL
Oh.
UGER. Pfluger.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Ville.
Mm.
So what my grandpa said, he was like, "Go for everything in life, and don't let anybody stop you because life's too short for regrets." And it may seem very like, oh, I've heard that quote
I've
before,
heard that one before,
or
yeah.
I've like whatever. And I had never heard it before.
Mhm.
And so it just resonated with me because there he was, wasting away, gonna pass away soon.
But that's the last things he said.
And that was his like, take that. If I could tell you anything, I'm gonna tell you that. And that I have clung to, in the sense of, why would I do anything less? Of course I want to do everything in life.
Say the the quote one more time.
So the quote is, "Do everything in life that you can. Don't let anyone stop you because life's too short for regrets."
And I needed to hear that too, because like with my event, I'm like, am I capable? Am I enough? It's like, but I can, and I've done it. So why am I scared to do it a second time? You know what I mean? And it's what I can do. Mm-hmm. Whatever I can't do is because I allowed someone to believe that I can't. I allowed to believe what they said I can't do.
Right. So. And so I've had that perspective, and perhaps maybe it does go into a little bit of your personality, if you're an introvert versus extrovert, or if you have the resources that you have grown up in an environment that has led you to think you can rise up versus in an environment that has squished you down, right? Whether it's financial issues, family situations, economics, whatnot. I would say that was high school, right? Trying out for sports. I was like, I'm going to try out for sports. I'm going to do this. So what if I get cut?
What sports did you try out for?
I did volleyball, soccer.
I know you're good with volleyball with them legs.
You know what I'm saying?
For real.
You thought I was Polynesian.
For real. No, I said Hawaiian. What, did you have any nicknames in high school?
No, I never got a nickname.
What?
Yeah. Anissa's very, I guess, just Anissa.
I had a fat ass in high school. I literally like, I would walk through the aisles of class. My ADHD's kicking in, y'all. Walk down the aisles in class, and I would literally like, people's desks are right here, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was walking down the aisles. I would literally go like, I was moving people's desk on my ass. I swear. How many times did I go in the hallway and people just grabbed or slapped my ass because it was just there? It was crazy. My pants would literally rip at the seam on my booty. And my mom was like, what is it? She's like, are they too tight? I'm like, no, I don't know. But it's because my pants always fit tight on that part. Man, that was one time my friend Tatiana, side quest. I know we got to get back on track. It's okay. She literally left her backpack on the middle aisle. It's one of my core memories. She left her backpack on the floor and her little strap was in the middle when I was walking and hitting everyone's freaking desk like, and I slipped on it. I slipped it on my pants from here all the way to my crotch. My everything was exposed. And my teacher's like, Mark, are you gonna go to the nurse? I said, I literally again. I said, I do not give up. Like I literally can care less. Life is not that serious. I've had worse dreams where I'm naked. Like this is the reality. Like I'm exposed in school, and I was like,
You got
nah.
underwear on though.
This time I did. You just, no.
Share.
So this time I did, and I think they were red. And so but she's like, oh my God, Mark. She's like, okay, let's continue our reading. She's like, go to the nurse if you want. I said, no, it's about to be theater arts. And theater arts kids, we weird. They're not going to care. So I was like, nah, I'm just going to roll with it because if I let people get to me, they're going to be like, oh my God, you see his pants right here. So I just owned that shit. I was like, nah, I'm going to claim this. I was like, nah, let's continue reading. Actually, I'll get the next page. And I started reading to the class. And I was reading on our desk. And this is high school. Mind you, high school. This is brutal. And everyone already saw me as a class clown, so they did not care. Like they're like, I mean, I maybe saw myself as a class clown. People probably saw me as annoying, you know. But in the end, yeah, that was the reality of that. And yeah, I guess it's a key point to what we're saying is that I literally owned at a very young age. I started realizing to own my shit, my own regrets, my failures. Like when you let someone eat you alive, when you find someone to find your kryptonite, they'll take that shit and use it against you. And that's friends now in reality. Like they take what you think or what you said your insecurities are, and they'll literally be the ones who are there setting the fires, starting the conversation.
And then those aren't friends.
Yeah, they aren't friends. I'm like, what is all this gossip about? And honestly, recently, and I'm realizing it, I'm again hypocritical because I think I've done little things, and I was like, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. Like, and it's not because I wanted to; it's because I just felt like I was just expressing myself, but also I was expressing myself to the wrong people, and I felt like I was setting myself up for failure. You know.
Yeah. So I would say a couple of those things for me, like not letting regrets stop me. I was like, I want to apply to A&M. I'm going to apply to. Oh, I was pretty sure I was going to get in anyways. But
I didn't even know you're an Aggie till like 2 weeks ago. I felt, right? Was it like 2 weeks ago?
Something like that.
I don't know. But okay, continue.
And so.
Because I'm an Aggie too. I just don't have a
Giga. Class of
24.
And I'm 16.
She's old. Hey, but you're hot. That's good. It's good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mark. But that ring size though.
Yeah, 6.
6 and a quarter.
Hey, I was gonna say something. I can't. I don't want to say it.
You can't?
No.
Okay.
As long her man, match up her ring size at least.
I can't say names because you know what name I was gonna say.
No. Oh, okay, yeah. I got you. I think it's at least there, yeah.
So,
not us having a nickname for him.
Anyways, yeah. So literally, it would go like to become a PA, right?
Tell them what that is, because I don't know what that is.
So a PA is a physician associate, aka used to be called physician assistant.
And do y'all know what that is? Because I'm so slow. What is it?
So it's basically an extension of a doctor. So you do very similar things like a doctor. Obviously, there's some privileges and rights that we don't have because doctors do go to school.
So you're like one of the doctor's arms of everything he does.
We basically function like an extension of him. We see patients and order labs. It's like
not with the title?
Not with the title because we didn't go to medical school. We're not doctors. We're physician associates. And how it started, I will give you a quick history lesson. It's like literally PAs started because medics came back from serving our country, came back and were like, what do we do for a job? We have all this experience. We know how to do everything like doctors did and how they functioned on the field. But now we're back and we didn't go to medical school, but we have all this.
You said, was that from the war, you said?
Yeah, from serving our country. It was back, I can't tell you the year, but it started at Duke University, and where these medics came back, and they were like, we know how to sew, we can help with all these things, but we're not doctors, and we're not going to go to school for all these years, so what can we call ourselves? Physician associates, and that's how it started, physician assistant.
On that note, speaking of war, weird, my ADHD kicked in. Went to school at A&M University, period. Mine was architecture. And one of the lessons that I learned that I was like, I woke the fuck up and I was like, oh shit. Like, people are asking like, how did all this shit happen where like we started segregating people in communities? How do we build communities where we separated the whites and the blacks and the whatever, right? Well, literally, there's a man who came from the military. Obviously, he's white. Sorry, everyone, love everybody now, but obviously, this man was white. And he literally, he came and it's like, hey, we learned how to make freaking all these machines and weapons using an assembly line. Like how we, I have all this knowledge again, exactly like that. What am I gonna do? My favorite lesson to share with anybody, and like it helps you wake the fuck up that this is a reality, and we kind of are still living in some parts of it. So even in San Antonio, but basically what happened is he took that knowledge and said, "Hey, let's come back and use that knowledge. Like, how can we use this assembly line process to do something that we need at fast consumption?" And then they're like, "Oh, well, we all need homes now. Like, where are we gonna all stay now that we came back from the war?" He's like, "This guy, the guy who developed urban communities, he's like, how about we do that? We do an assembly line process. We get a lot of people together. Most of them are obviously black and white, military men. Build the first urban community." That man then said, "Oh yeah, no black people can be in this community," because there was already a racial segregation, right? And then they're like, they didn't say that, but they had things of like who can get loans to qualify to live in these ordinances, and literally black people that were more qualified than most of the majority of white people, even if they were disabled or anything, they 98% got denied of any loan that were of color, compared to white people, even if they were like had some background that was crazy, really poor. So that's when it comes to zoning. If you don't know what zoning is, every religion knows what zoning is. There's green zoning, yellow zoning, and red zoning. It's all classified by race. And so that was what we learned. They would basically have zones. And so the red zone is basically all colored people. I think some disabled people, even if they're white or something. And then middle class was like middle income white people, which is basically people that got more loans because they were privileged, even though they don't deserve it, because more colored people actually had more creditability because they did come from the war, and some of them did have money that they made from the job because that was equality, I guess, at that point. And again, they just used the people when they needed them, and then they didn't respect them when they needed them, like a home. These people literally served the country, fought, and then they said, "Oh yeah, you built this community, fought in our country. Yeah, we're also not gonna even let you live in those communities." And another thing I'm gonna teach you, that when it came to segregating these communities to make sure people didn't fall out of line of like where they belong, did you know that they would build bridges that buses would go on? Public buses. Public buses are only for colored people in that time before they started doing white and colored people. They would make the buses for the lower economic side of towns in those zones shorter than the bus height, so that none of the buses can go into these ordinances of green zone communities. And so actually recently there's still, from what I heard, there's still bridges that they're still trying to fix that are under the bus limit that was in part of those zones that kept people out of certain areas of the community, so the public transit couldn't enter those um, green zones. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So
You learned
yeah,
that all in architecture
uh,
at A&M?
yeah, yeah. So I learned, yeah, urban development and urban planning. I mean, when it comes to urban development, urban planning, you learn about zonings, and zones are like, if you do not know anything about that, you'll learn so much about how zoning classifies people, and how basically it segregated people. And then also, just to be real, why do you think gangs came together? Gangs, honestly, some of them are smart because they realize like, if we don't have reality society or the federal government on our side, we just got to be on our own side and be with our people. That's why they created a collection of people originally to be part of things that they believed in. Then also what was exposed to them was also these bad opportunities, and it just created this orientation of like, oh, a gang is a bad orientation of people. But they first started to just be people that were collecting to be a part of something that they were never able to be a part of. They were never able to be a part of society. So I don't know. I'm talking about this, but no, that's like one of my favorite topics to talk about. To tell people like, if you're wondering why we're zoned or segregated or classified in certain ordinances, it's because we were raised up in these certain zones that kept us in certain areas, and some people don't like to move or don't like change, so they stay in those places. So now we're learning about the word gentrification. People are gentrifying into these communities, and they're not choosing to leave. They can't afford to live there anymore. So now that's why some of this is getting broken up. So people are like, "Oh my God, look, there's no more like these zones. Like, oh my God, everything's better now." No, it's because the world is so effed up and it's about economy. They're getting pushed out because they can't afford to live in these zones that they were already put into, you know what I mean? And they're now put into another zone. In the south side of San Antonio, we used to be 98% Hispanic serving institution at South San. Literally, I swear, in the next, my last 2 years, a lot more black students came, and I was like, well, what's happening? Like, again, I don't see color, it doesn't matter. But because the east side, you know, San Antonio is segregated by color. And then, like, did you know that? Well, not that it's not trying. Obviously, we know San Antonio is not trying to do that. But you can ask any San Antonian. On the
Like
north
a
side, it was
native?
white, Asian.
Oh.
East side is black people. South side is middle class Mexicans, and then the west side is like poor Mexican. I mean, poor. Like it's just how people see things, right?
Well, it's
Even if
demographics.
yeah, it's just
It's
demographics. Yeah.
measurable.
And so when I started seeing this change, I'm like, oh, why is this happening? And when my parents were looking for a house, not knowing any of these things, because I didn't see that segregation. But then I started becoming aware of it very soon after. That when we're looking at houses, all the beautiful houses that we wanted to buy, we're all in the worst neighborhoods, worst as in that's what they classified by demographics, which then the east side, that's where the black communities came from. They were buying all of their houses because they couldn't afford to live there anymore with property taxes, and that's what they're all moving to the south side. So now the zoning has got put into one section, which is now west south side, is where those communities are at because everyone really is getting pushed out of the east side and now central downtown because of the UTSA campus. I don't know. Sorry, I'm talking about all that.
That's
But
good. That's
no, yeah, yeah,
incredible.
no, but that's it's anything I do or say I really want to like empower, infuse, like or advocate. So yeah.
Okay, look at that. Like from one grandpa's quote came all of that.
No, yeah, but no, because it makes sense. Like because it's the knowledge that people take in history and how they go forward with it, but also with that history and the information that they took with it, also created some of our biggest setbacks. So our revolutions are actually our greatest setbacks, to be honest.
And that's why I'm saying like go for everything in life and don't let anything stop you because the only person that's gonna stop you is you.
Yeah.
Like and so like when I went to PA school or I wanted to go, it literally could you could be so big as far as I want to go to PA school. I'm gonna do that. I could have shied away from it and been like, well, maybe I'll just do something else like XYZ. And but if I really wanted to go for something, go for it. I don't want to have those regrets later. Go. Oh, perfect example. Applying to PA school fresh right after college. Most people don't get in the first time. It's so competitive. Like of my class of 50 slots, 1,800 applicants was 1,800 people applied. Maybe like 100 to 200 people got interviews for
Yeah.
50 spots.
And
Do you see
PA
what I
school,
mean?
where's that? Is that it?
That was in the Valley at Pan Am or
You know
UTRGV.
that's how the numbers are for the business marketing school at EM.
Really?
Like I think 1,500 people like apply or something. That's what they told me or something. And like
So
only 100 get in.
so literally, I could have been like, oh man, I may not get in. I'm not gonna apply my first year. No, apply. That way you don't have the regrets. Or simple thing like, we've talked about this, like going to run clubs. If I see a cute guy, go up and talk to him. Not that I need to get something out of him or like I want to walk away with his phone number, but let me be like,
But it's not a bad thing if you do.
okay, exactly. And let me not, it's not a regret for life, but on a smaller scale, hey, if I find somebody attractive and I want to go meet them, let me go for it. Let me not live with a little regret of like, oh man, I could have talked to him. Oh, maybe
When it
next
comes
week.
to that, I like. I don't want to seem like a bad person. I don't like playing games, but I think it makes it a little more interesting. Yeah.
What makes
Because like I want to go talk to somebody, but also I'm like, I feel like when you do that to people nowadays, they get in their head and then they become like, oh, like you know what I mean. So
you,
I'm also trying to respect people in the same way. So I always start with talking to their friends first and then talking to them. So then think that I'm just like, oh, trying to make a move like everybody else. If we're especially at a club, even if it's a club, like people now know that the intentions are like, oh, people are just trying to mingle, see what happens. So sometimes I talk to their friends that are around them to get to know their friends, and then I get to know them. Because if I go straight to them, then they're like, oh, he came just for that. They came just for that, you know.
yeah, and
So
like, what's cool is every person can have their own approach. For me, I do like talking to like the friend group because you can get a really good idea usually of one person. What does my mom always say? Like, tell me who your friends are, and that'll tell me who you are.
yes,
So let me like feel out your friends. Are we cool? Are we all vibing? Are they, do they? I could just go on. Anyways, but like, take your shot, try something, and don't have any regrets about it. If I want to go travel with all my besties right now, we're doing it. Like, let's do it now. Why are we gonna regret later on? Oh, I never took that vacation. Go for it. Have it like
I
so.
want to do that so bad, but I'm like, I have that mentality, like, let's freaking do it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking broke. And that's the reality. And then we were just talking about this, like, Anissa has a beautiful home. And I was just like, we were talking about, like, people cannot afford homes nowadays. Like, it's so hard. Like, you want to take these opportunities and everyone wants to do it and everyone's trying so hard. And then people can believe in these setbacks that people are telling them of their worth. But on top of that, financial setbacks, like, it's such a real thing. I'm honestly going to be so real with my job. I have so many privileges, like from even having clothes to food to everything paid for. Like I'm vibing, and I'm struggling still. I'm like, how are people literally living? I'm struggling hard. Like I'm like, ugh.
Financial discipline, ladies and gentlemen.
No, for
Dave
real,
Ramsey, that's a plug.
guys. I love
He
supporting small
helped me.
businesses, but sometimes I gotta stop. I can't be buying acai bowls every day. I love acai bowls, but
Yeah. But well, I will say this to respect time slash because we have something else to go to after this, and
we have to have a part two because there's so much more.
we need a part two.
We haven't even gotten to like
We have
any. We have not touched the surface of
we
it.
have we're gonna please come back. Let's do
Yeah,
this again.
yeah.
But I will say, let's end it on Grandpa's quote, like perfect timing, that we are wrapping up because don't have any regrets in life. Go for everything and do not stop. Do not let anything stop you because life's too short for regrets.
People that live in people that take the risk get to live the risk of that they take instead of the ones that never take it, then they don't get to live. That means something, right? Does that make sense?
Mic drop.
Wait, does that make sense?
Say it again.
I forgot. Hey, y'all know what I meant. Subscribe. Make sure y'all get a pip. We'll see you in the next episode. And you ain't going to be better than me. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Peace out. That was perfect.
That was good, right?
You ain't gonna be better than me. And all the goldfish are gone.
I know I stress eat.